Welcome to the Entertainment Rants Podcast, your number one opinion source for all things entertainment. Join host Marco Mazzola as he sounds off on the latest movies, TV, music, gaming, comic books, and more. Now, here's the man of the hour, Marco Mazzola.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome to the Entertainment Rants Podcast. I am, as always, in round two, your host, Marco Mazzola. For round two,
because you didn't press the record button.
That's what I'm saying. Thank God you mentioned something about the time, because I looked up and go, yeah, it's not. Oh, look, it's not saying end broadcast, which means the fucker's not recording. And I know I hit the button twice. So that voice is Marie Brownhill from the Trekker's Delight. Hello, Marie. Again.
Hello, Marco.
Look. Big Ben, Parliament. So tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to do the first in our revamp of Entertainment Rants. And we're going to start switching it over a little bit and talk about movies we hate. And basically, crapping on them and maybe find out how they could have been better and just going through and picking them apart. And we'll see how this goes. It's an experiment. I think it'll be fun. I think a lot more comedy and fun can come from shitting on movies and constantly stroking them and like, this is wonderful. So we're going to, and the list is endless. There's things that we can just crap on. We were talking about Moon Knight, and we talked about in our previous version of this episode.
Right.
The unedited.
We're not crapping on Moon Knight. We were crapping.
Oh no, we love Moon Knight. We talked about we compared it to Boba Fett and our previous unaired version of the show. Should be great. That's lost to the internet now. But tonight we are going to light up and have fun with Tango and Cash. So
I think this is a record. I really do. I think this is a record. It's 2 minutes in, and we have announced what we're doing.
We actually talk about what we're going to talk about. Fantastic. I think it's wonderful. We are talking about the 1989 movie Tango and Cash.
The last major budget action thriller, listen to me, action thriller to be released in 1989, December.
And in the 1980s, yeah, that's the last one.
Mm-hmm.
Can you believe it? They went out on a dumpster fire.
Oh my God, this is the most 80s action film of 80s.
Oh, it is. It's just chock full of stupid one-liners, and that was so 80s and 90s.
Make sense.
No, they were very forced, very contrived, very ridiculous. But yeah, it was just chock-a-block full of them with just the most ridiculous cast. I mean, the cast
it should have been good, right? It should have been good. Like based on who was in it, it should have been fantastic.
Yeah.
And it ends up as a dumpster fire.
It does. It really does. So do you want to do the trailer first?
Oh.
Have you seen the trailer? There's the dumpster fire.
Because I'm an
awesome. That's right. That's awesome. All right, let's start off with a trailer here.
Oh my God.
Let me share.
Which is fun because we're going to get to go scene by scene in this trailer and identify all the scenes that aren't in the movie.
That's right. There's a lot of them. There's a lot of stuff in this trailer that doesn't end up showing the movie. I don't necessarily know that would have made it any better. So,
no, it might have made more sense, maybe.
Maybe. All right, let's see this. Let's try it.
I'll tell you one thing. Whoever set us up is really connected.
What are you doing? What are you doing?
Relax. Soak. And don't flatter yourself.
Meet Ray Tango. He likes money.
Easy come, easy go.
But doesn't bother with cash. Meet Gabe Cash. He won't dance around trouble and doesn't mind stepping on toes.
I hate you karate guys.
Two of LA's top rival cops are having a good time staying in rhythm.
You know me, huh?
Yeah, I hear you're the second best cop in LA.
That's funny. I hear the same thing about you.
But they're going to have to work together, even if it kills them.
Right now!
We'll take it.
No, that's one of a kind.
We won't put a scratch on it. Did you sleep with my sister?
I was so drunk, I don't remember, okay?
Sylvester Stallone and Kurt Russell. Tango and Cash.
All right, there it is.
Oh my god, it looks like so much of a better movie than what we got.
Yeah. I mean, back. Oh, I think it's starting again. What's happening here? Oh, you know what? That was the what the hell happened? What the fuck happened to Tango and Cash?
Right.
Which was a great video. If you haven't watched it,
Yeah.
you guys gotta watch that. I'll try to see if I can put it in the comments when I put the show up. I'll put it in the notes. People can watch that because that really explains a lot. If I watched it, it was kind of an eye opener as to what really what happened to this dumpster fire and why it turned into such a train wreck at all times. It was really interesting. From the casting, the ones they wanted, and I mean, let's face it. It started from the producer, right? Is it Peter Gruber on this one?
No, it was John Peters.
John Peters, that's right. John Peters. Peter Gruber is the other half of his team. John Peters is
so John Peters with the amazing hair, right? Like, and apparently at no point has he lost that epic '80s team.
No, he's just turned white, but he hasn't lost the poopiness. Right. It's still well rounded, and it just seems like nobody's ever told him no. You know what I mean? Like he just doesn't handle it very well. Obviously. I
mean, nobody's when you're literally threatening violence on your physical violence.
We got to get into that.
Directors, and nobody is apparently saying anything other than yes, sir. Like,
yeah,
come on.
Yeah,
it is according to that video, which was again, you're right, eye-opening, and I'm glad you sent it to me. Responsible for the entire Charlie Foxtrot. That is the end of the film.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, they said it was kind of like they were just writing it as they went almost. Like they didn't really have something ironed down as to what they wanted it, how they wanted it to end.
I mean, it literally starts as an idea, right? And they actually, they got it funded, they got it cast, they got it started shooting with not so much of a script.
Not much of a script. A lot of rewrites, day by day rewrites of the script. A lot of influences from everybody, including Stallone, who did a lot of the help with the rewrites.
Of the ghostwriting, and yes, you can tell.
Oh yeah, it was just there. It happened to us, right? It in all of its '89 gloriousness, it definitely happened to us. I remember,
I actually own this, and I'm a little embarrassed to admit this, but
I saw it in the theater.
Like I remember having such great memories of this movie and how much fun it was.
Yep.
And then I'm sitting there watching it now, and I'm like, I mean, I may or may not have time in my bedroom.
Yeah.
Instead of finishing this movie, because I was like, please God, make it stop.
Yeah. I did sit down and watch it in one sitting with no distractions. It was really tough. But I like really had to use all my martial arts black belt discipline, I suppose, to just sit there and watch it and not like scroll through Instagram and
martial arts discipline, my friend.
I know it really was 37 years, and this is what it's come to. I got to sit through Tango and Cash, but like it's just to not sit there and scroll through Facebook or Instagram and actually pay attention because I wanted to remember what happened in this movie. Because it turns out I didn't remember a lot of what happens in this movie. I didn't even remember that Jack Palance was in this movie. I forgot he was the big bad guy in this movie. For whatever, and then he pops up on screen. I'm like, oh my God, it's him.
What did I remember? I remembered Terry Hatcher.
Mm-hmm.
I remembered.
Just weird. It's just a weird placement.
I remembered. And that's about it, actually. Oh, and Fubar and Snafu. Like I remembered those.
Yes.
I distinctly remember like making fun of, or at least my brother and I just seized on these terms, right?
Yeah.
Like, and would like laugh back and forth. In fact, I think I actually found this in the $5 DVD bin at Walmart or something, and bought it.
You overpaid, but that's okay.
I did by a lot, actually.
Yeah,
I watched it now. They should have paid me to take the DVD from them. But like, I remember being so excited and telling my brother, I'm like, I found it. We can watch it whenever now.
And about how many times would you say you've watched it since then?
So today, I mean, literally, it's out.
Did you break the wrapper on that bad boy today?
I did not, actually.
Oh,
I did not.
right.
I must have watched it in college or something, but there was so much of this movie I did not remember.
Yeah, there was a lot. There was definitely a lot of this movie.
And I think my brain just basically dumped all the stuff that did not make sense.
Well, that's it. Your brain's trying to like save itself. So it erases a lot of it from the hard drive just because it doesn't want it in there, screwing up other thoughts of other good movies. So it tries to get rid of it because it was.
All right, so
really
let's start. Let's break this down. Let's talk about why this is such a crap.
Yeah, we've teased it enough. Let's actually talk about so the summary of the movie is framed by their ruthless arch nemesis, a mismatched LAPD crime fighting duo has put its differences aside to even the score with the evil kingpin who put them behind bars once and for all. Dun dun dun. Right, starring Sylvester Stallone, Kurt Russell, Terry Hatcher, Jack Palance, Brian James Hong, right, and Mark Ali. How do you pronounce his last name?
Mark
Alimo, that's what it. And Philip Tan, briefly, he's the guy that he beats up at the beginning, who is also the guy who gets beaten up at the beginning of Lethal Weapon 4 with Jet Li.
I mean, there was a lot of recycling going on. I mean, we've got
definitely
Clint Howard in this. We've got,
Michael J. Pollard.
Yes, and you've already mentioned the guy who played Rakeem.
Yep.
Who was literally the thug in everything.
Yep. Roy Brocksmith. We know him from Total Recall.
Yep. I mean, it literally is just this cast of character actors that have been in everything, right? And
yes.
Story resumes of stuff that they've done. And so it should have been okay.
It definitely had the makings to be okay, but if it wasn't for all the crap that happened,
literally everything about this movie.
Yeah, it was just a train wreck to get it produced, like the whole thing, to get it shot, to get it produced, to get it anything.
So let's talk about that summary for a second, because
sure.
I find it hilarious that they talk about this arch nemesis. They don't even know who the man is until I want to say an hour and a half into the movie.
No, to the end. They don't find out who he is till the end.
Right?
It's kind of like they figure out and they have to go get him where he is.
And it's an hour.
Even towards the end, they're like, who is this fucking guy? Like, they know the other like leaders, the other like, crime lords that are working for him.
Right.
They're like from the other sides of the city. Yeah.
We talk about like the Philip Tan character. We talk about the Mark Alimo character.
We talk about the James Hong character because he's the one of the crime lords.
Yeah.
He just got a star in the Hollywood Walk of Fame. He's 90. I just saw an article today. He finally got his. The guy's been in everything. He just got it.
Like
90 years old.
And there was like a Chinese character required.
Yeah, they needed right. He's Lo Pan from Big Trouble in Little China. Like the list is endless. And I don't even want to look at his IMDb. I don't have that kind of time. It's got to be extensive.
No. I mean, just everywhere, and he just made it work for him. I mean, good for him.
Yeah.
It's oof. So, like, we have them, and they have, I don't know, approximately maybe 10 lines between them.
Yeah.
And it's mostly Jack Palance. I mean, the man is chewing through scenery like a wood chipper.
Left, right, and center.
All the wrong ways.
Yeah.
In all the wrong ways. And in fact, I think I actually Facebook messaged you this. Like, there is literally a moment in the film where he's in complete black, like shadow. No.
Yeah, in the prison scene. In the prison scene.
In the prison sequence. And he's like, just think of me as someone that doesn't.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Like, that's what we're going with? Really?
Yeah.
That's what got to print? Like, you must be joking.
Oh yeah, this whole movie's list is you must be joking. So we start out. we have to meet our heroes, right? We have to find out who these people are and why they're so famous and so good at they, right? So you basically start out with Sylvester Stallone chasing down the tanker truck.
Yep.
You got Jawbone over there driving the truck
in his 3-piece suit. And
good lord! So he's the fancy guy. He's the fancy one with the fancy suits and the nice wardrobe, and
in the fancy car.
In the fancy car, and he shoots at the tanker truck. He speaks, chrome looking, no markings on a tanker truck.
Which is the tiniest gun I think I've ever seen. Which
he's basically got a six-shooter revolver. Like he's got a basic.
Yeah, I swear to you, I think that was like 2 caliber. Like,
well, it's that classic buddy cop. They did the same thing in Lethal Weapon, right? Murtaugh used the 6-shooter. He was old school, but Riggs used the Beretta, the 9mm.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's the same thing, and of course Kurt Russell's using all the high tech laser scoping, crazy shit.
I mean, there's literally
over the top,
rocket boots.
Yeah,
at one point, rocket boots, because.
But we'll get into that too, because there is that scene.
Is this the LAPD? Is that who they're supposed to be?
Yep. Yeah, but it's got
you can't really get a sense of where they are, because
they say they're in LA. They say they're in LA, but they're like once from like North LA, once from the South Side.
I don't believe it. I think this movie takes place in its own reality, right?
Definitely its own reality, and it definitely looks like it was shot in Canada.
Oh yeah,
like all the LA street scenes and things like that. It does not look like LA at all. It definitely looks like Canada.
Right, and then you get into like the desert, and that looks suspiciously like Arizona or possibly New Mexico. Like it does not look like California
at all. So,
and I'm just like, okay, you do you, movie. You do.
And it was way over. It ended up like what, a $10 million over budget. Still somehow made money. I still don't understand how that happened, but it's still
it was huge in like the the video, like the video.
Yeah, the cassette. Yeah,
and apparently, like I contributed to that, and I apologize now.
I think you did. I did not. I did not. That was definitely a Netflix rental for me.
Right. So like, okay, so tanker truck. And everybody's screaming
he shoots at the tanker truck to get it to stop, right? He doesn't kill them, but somehow still gets the thing to stop and not run him over, right? It was that like Clint Eastwood. It's that Clint Eastwood like he's like eyeballing it down, right? He's giving the tanker truck a stern look, and it's stopped.
This is not even.
And the two idiots fly through the fake windows.
I don't know that I was stopped for Sly Stallone. I got to tell you, I don't know.
Run his shit down like Lopan, just run him right down. And they fly through the window, and again, it's
in that amazing like 80s sugar glass way, right?
Plates that are kind of broken, yeah.
I gotta tell you, like, I mean, so much about this movie like really took me back to Last Action Hero.
Like, in what way?
Just so much of it, in the sense that like all the stuff that's going on in Last Action Hero that like they're lampooning. There's this one sequence where Schwarzenegger is standing beside this car and is like, and needs to get into it. He's like, oh, I'll just break the glass. And he like punches the window. He's like, ow! And that's kind of what I was thinking when I was watching. I was watching this glass in this car shatter, and I'm like,
yeah,
that is not what car looks like, my friends. That is
no.
That is
no. No, because they wouldn't do that. Because the truck was slowing down. It didn't hit something. So even if they didn't have seatbelts on, they wouldn't have flown through the glass that way because the car slowed to a stop quickly, but it didn't like hit something to make a sudden stop where your body then gets ejected through the window.
Yeah, no.
You might pull through to hit the steering wheel or bang your head off the dashboard a little bit, but you're not going to get ejected out of the truck that way unless it slams into something and makes a sudden 100 to 0 stop.
And honestly, I think if it had slammed into Stallone like in the first 10 minutes of the movie, like this would have saved us so much time.
It definitely would have saved us a lot of time. It could have gone out by my day. That would have been a lot better. Movie over.
Yeah, but that's not what happened. And then
it was just a PSA, gang. It was just a PSA. It could have just been.
And then of course, like,
don't stand in front of trucks.
Yeah.
Dun, 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 the more you know.
And then of course, like all of a sudden, the sheriff's department shows up, and they're complaining about like there's this whole like jurisdictional issue, which is one of those things that you'd see a lot in 80s buddy cop movies.
Yep.
Like there's this magic line where you have to stop. Just gonna set that aside.
Yeah.
Just gonna set that aside for a second. Possibly the rest of this, who knows? And they're yelling at him and yelling at him and yelling at him. And rather than explain himself in words, because words are hard, he walks up to the tanker and just shoots it randomly. And everyone's like, oh shit, we're all gonna die because it's a gas tanker, so it's going to go up into a ball of flames and we're all gonna die. That's not what happens.
Nope. Magically, the Coke starts pouring out.
All of a sudden, all the baking soda.
Yeah, it just comes just pouring out like a what do you call it, like a minute timer, right? Just that's like an hourglass, just pouring out.
His hand under, and he does the thing that you see in every single one of these movies.
Puts the finger in and tastes it.
It's like, anybody want to get high? And it's just like,
oh, after already calling Rambo a pussy.
Yes.
Right? This guy thinks he's Rambo. Rambo's a pussy. Right, doing the callback to his own movies. Oh my God, was that cheesy?
I was like,
that was they were just really reaching for that one. Right at the beginning of the movie, they're already reaching for content. And then you get, there's the fact that he's just letting the Coke pour out onto the ground. You might need that for evidence. It's just hitting the fucking ground and nobody's collecting it.
Nobody's collecting it.
They need to know how much was there. Like, they weigh that shit. And like, okay, we seized X amount of pounds of at least 20 of it's on the ground right now.
What it is like, obviously,
before somebody stopped it.
So that's the thing about 80s movies, right? Like, I mean, because there is no real existence of the court system in any sort of way that makes sense. And we are going to get to my hate for that sequence in a minute. Because it's awful. And it's
bullshit. The whole, how they get taken down.
It hurts. It hurts. I'm like, this, I mean, because whoever wrote this had not only never been to court, had only ever watched really shitty courtroom dramas on TV. I'm like, come on, man.
A lot of Perry Mason and
Not even Perry Mason, because, early Perry Mason at least had a nodding acquaintance with the legal system. This did not. So anyway, that's our introduction to Tango.
Yeah.
And then he goes back to his like precinct or whatever, and his captain, with whom we assume he has a solid relationship, drops a racial slur, and I'm like, what?
Yeah. It was really out of left field. I really didn't understand what the point
did not belong. I mean, he's literally I think he refers to, and everyone's going to have to forgive me for this, but I think he refers to Sylvester Stallone as the Beverly Hills WAP.
Yeah.
Just like.
So now this is after Beverly Hills Cop, right? So it's referring to Eddie Murphy movie and then putting the slant on.
And it just is not. It's not cool.
It wasn't cool, and it was unnecessary, and it didn't really make any sense either. But yeah, it didn't make any sense. The actor who played his captain
that went completely over my head, right? Like as a kid.
Yeah, in '89, it definitely did even for me, and I was 13 at the time. So yeah, totally. The guy who played the captain, really bad toupee, like god awful. Like, I remember him from one of the first. Well, he was in the Double Impact movie with Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Oh God!
He played one of the guys, like the guy who raised him, right?
We're gonna have to do like in his.
And he was like mostly bald in that movie. Like,
we are gonna have to do an entire Jean-Claude series.
Can't do all of them. Some of them I love.
If we do not do Street Fighter, I will be very sad.
Yeah, Street Fighter we can definitely shit on. There's no way we can. Yeah. Rest in peace, Raul Julia, but what? Still, he should have known better. That's his problem.
He is all that's good about that movie. And
he should have known better than to be in that movie. But yeah, and poor Ming Na Wen too. Just stuck in a shit movie. But what are you gonna do? We'll get there. We'll definitely get to Street Fighter.
She was early enough in her career that I think she was still trying to get established. So like.
I don't think a ton of people remember that she was in that movie. First of all, a lot of people don't remember that movie or want to remember who was in that movie. But I think like true, like real diehard Ming Na Wen fans remember she was there because they watch everything she does. But beyond that, like I had to go back and watch it at one point to remember she was in there. Remember that she played Chun Li. So yeah, but the actor just rocking a really bad toupee throughout the whole movie. Like it didn't even look good. It looked like something died on his head.
You actually see it shifting.
Yeah,
from scene to scene.
But I never understood the point. Like, what was who cares? Like, why in a movie it's weird. Like, if it doesn't have part of the story, like if it's not as part of the story that you're wearing this thing or you need full head of hair, like there was no reason for that captain to have a full head of hair when the actor didn't. So who cares? Right? Dude, like it made no sense. Further the story of any kind of like trying to, de-age him. He was the captain. He should have looked older. And his balding, gray-haired head would have made him look older than Sylvester Stallone. It was like he was trying to be on the same level. What's that?
And it would have made sense, right? I mean, we get the feeling that Sylvester Stallone is meant to be older in this movie, and I will say that's pretty cool. Like, we're not getting that same sort of like teenage vibe that we get,
right?
Axel Foley, for example.
Yeah. He's more sophisticated. He's got some money. He's got a nice wardrobe. He's more refined
all the way. And I got to tell you, at one point, like Kurt Russell starts talking about how like the pantyhose are climbing into the unknown. Some of Sylvester Stallone's trousers in this movie were definitely climbing.
Yeah, front and back. Like, you could tell what religion he was in a few of those.
Like, I know, right? And I'm just necessary. Like, I'm like, spandex existed in 1989.
Yeah. Absolutely. So we finish with him. We finish up with him because now we have to meet the other half of our team, our buddy
Who
cops.
is like the most? I mean, he's seriously. I think, honest to God, he is supposed to be like Lethal Weapon from Wish.
Yes,
In fact,
exactly.
all of this movie
very
is
Lethal Weapon.
From Wish.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, Sylvester Stallone's definitely the Murtaugh, straight laced, does it by the book, and then you have the
house and blah blah.
Does the flippant. Then you have you have Cash does the flippant, just does breaks all the rules. He's good at his job because he does everything the wrong way. Mm-hmm. And he stumbles into greatness.
And he lives in squalor because he doesn't care. Yeah. Like he's just. I mean, there's nothing about Gabe Cash. I mean, I call him charming, I think. And
that was kind of Kurt Russell at the time. He was charming. He wasn't, as they said, he wasn't a great action star yet.
No.
Not by then, anyway.
I honestly think Kurt Russell saved Gabe from just becoming terrible. Now, I do not think Gabe Cash is a character that could exist in 2022.
No, I don't know that he can. I mean, he's
like amazing tight pants and feathered hair aside, there's
the feathered hair is awesome.
That hair, and it's still there, right? Like, I mean, it's all white. Like,
it's not salt and pepper, but yeah,
no, it's amazing. But yeah, like. So anyway, so we get to Gabe, and of course we meet him like in just this completely, like shit show of violence sequence where, this assassin like shoots him through his door and destroys his crappy apartment, and then he drags the guy to his precinct, which is significantly less nice.
Yes, right, we're on the south side of LA, right? We're on the south side now.
Big deal about this.
Yep.
And then we've got Tango, who has like spreadsheets shit, and then we've got Cash, who like tortures a guy with a chair.
Yeah. It's very like Beverly Hills Cop, Beverly Hills, Detroit. You know what I mean? Yeah. Even though it was in the same city, but it was still Beverly Hills and Detroit. Like the nicest of the Beverly Hills precinct, and then Detroit is just the shithole.
Yeah, so I'm sitting here trying to figure out like why Cash is good at his job, and I can't figure it out. Like I have watched all of this movie now, and I cannot figure it out still. Like, did I see him? I will say this for Beverly Hills Cop, right? Like, there is actually a detective story.
Mm-hmm.
Tango and Cash sort of flirts with it, and then is just like,
it's not a detective story. It's they're doing their job. The bad guy puts them away because he wants them out of the way, and they just have to bust out of prison and find him and stop him from ruining who they are. Basically, to build their name back up.
After MacGuffin put in their way, to get them out. Like, so all right, let's get to this. So it turns out like Eve Perret, because who the hell makes up these names? I don't know.
Yeah, it's 80s, 90s, yeah.
Whatever. So Jack Palance.
Almost comic booky, right? Like almost like
has like this weird rat fetish.
What was the point? I mean, I get how it ties into the end where he puts him through this rat maze essentially for no reason, just kill him. But it's a typical, 80s, 90s. The bad guy wants to put him through this crazy shit that doesn't work.
Like, okay, like this makes
just
sense
killing them,
Man, but it does not make sense here,
right?
Because this is LA. Like, I mean, except it's not LA, right? Like, it's this mysterious LA that just exists in the world of this movie. Mm-hmm. So he picks up these rats and he tells all his little like minions, who happen to be like the big like mob bosses of the city.
Yeah, they're like the north side, south side.
Right. I mean, he's like they have been irritating me, so I'm going to put them behind bars.
Right. Yeah, he's putting through how much money they've cost him between drugs and ammunition, and everything. Yeah. And
there's this whole moment where like James Hong and Mark Limo are like, so we could just kill him.
Yeah. You have the hubris of no, I want to toy with them. I want to,
I want to destroy them. I want to destroy
their reputation.
And
because if you kill them, then the cops come after him.
Except that's not even really a good argument because nobody knows he exists.
That was the point. Like the cops, nobody mentions him. Nobody, like he's done all this crime. He's, but right, it was crime that they're stopping him, but nobody knows this guy exists. How would the cops go after him? They'd go after the other two, who they know of, right? But apparently he cares.
Except he doesn't, because he treats them like dirt the entire time. I'm serious.
I mean, at that point, if you were him, wouldn't you just take out those two idiots? Because they seem to like butt up against him a lot.
Threat himself is not rolling in intelligence here.
No.
But we'll get to that. So, okay. So we have this setup. I'm not entirely certain I understand how the setup works. They're framed for murder, and it's this whole nonsense where, like, there's a faked audio recording on the part of Gabe, and everybody's looking at Tango and wondering where he's making all of this money. And Tango apparently at no point ever says it's stocks. And
his captain knows that.
Yeah.
He talks about it with him. Wouldn't he just be on the stand going, yeah, he makes his money through stocks?
Yeah.
He has transaction records of all this.
Yes, that's the point. And this is what drives me crazy, right? This makes me nuts. Because I'm like, that is literally the first thing I would collect as a defense attorney.
Right. All the records of his financials.
Because all of that shit, even in 1989, had a paper trail.
Of course. Like physical, but a physical paper trail, not necessarily all of it on computer. A lot of it at that point was.
It would have been it would have been in like dot matrix.
Right. A lot of folded paper, with pull off paper on the side.
Existed. All of that existed, and you cannot tell me that the character of Tango didn't have files of this shit in his house. Like, you cannot tell me that he did not. Like,
It did seem super easy for everybody to turn on them. I get the people that were just paid off. Obviously, they paid off a lot of people. The audio guy, the judge was paid off. Like, people were paid off left, right, and center. But like the public, everybody just turned on them. Even the fellow cops who necessarily weren't paid off, like all of a sudden they all hated them. Like, this is the guys he's been going into battle with this guy. He's been taking down drug lord after sting after sting, and all of a sudden you think they just flipped. For no good reason?
None of that made sense, but like, whatever. Also, like, there's this whole thing where, like, they both get up and make statements to the court. Yeah, no! That is not a thing!
It's not a thing. They can just speak their mind and clear the air.
It is not! It is not! Like, none of the questions, like, I mean, seriously, honest to God, like there were at least, I think, like, if I remember correctly, because I have to admit, like, I blocked a significant amount of this because I got pissed. But I think I heard like at least 3 or 4 different hearsay references, and I'm just like, come on. Like, I mean,
we talked to Johnny Depp; those don't work.
Maybe the lawyer was also, their defense attorney was also paid off.
No, I don't think so. Obviously, the prosecutor was.
I mean, first off, why on earth did they have one? Because that's not a thing either.
I thought they had 2, because they kept talking about they would talk to their lawyer each. My lawyer said this, and my lawyer said this.
Okay, well, I mean, I only...
But you only see the one. You only see Tango's really doing anything. Cash's lawyer seemed kind of like a bumbling idiot. But Tango, and that goes along with his character, right? He didn't hire the best lawyer.
Or apparently, these people were like in law school with the same people who are handling like the Johnny Depp Amber Heard mess.
Mm-hmm. Objection. It was your question. Oh yeah. It's your question. You asked the question. You go back.
Objection. You say you asked it. Like, stop. You were giving us all a bad name.
Yeah.
So there's that nonsense. And like that whole thing, just whatever. And then they just mysteriously disappear en route. Also, not a thing that happens.
Well, again, how many people were paid off, right? So it's paid. GPS isn't what it was. Probably using a MapQuest at this point.
So they end up in a max security prison when they've been like they have 18 months. First off, they have 18 months for killing a federal agent.
Yeah. Well, they plead, right? They pleaded out.
That is not what you would plead out for. Okay, that's not how that works. No, that's not how that works. But I get that they're like all over this kind of going, all right, so this is a setup and we know this is going to be a setup because this is not a realistic thing, like a realistic sentence. We end up in like, I don't know, Alcatraz or some shit. Like, I mean, I don't know where that was, but it was some sort of vaguely medieval looking prison.
Yep. Where it's just everything is on fire constantly.
Right, because apparently that's
they're just walking down every hallway. There's just an immense amount of garbage on fire. Like,
and all Sly Stallone can say is, I really hate litter.
Yeah.
It's like,
I know.
Like, supposed to be laughing.
Puns were bad, but like, shouldn't that place have been shut down and like maybe a fire extinguisher or something turned on? It's just burning. It's kind of a hazard.
I have actually been in a maximum security prison. I will tell
we don't need to know why.
I will tell you that was the cleanest floor I have ever seen in my life. You could have eaten on it. There is nothing.
Yeah.
I mean nothing anywhere. Because, you know, like it's a threat. And you know, and that whole shower sequence when like I mean, they're literally letting Sly wear his necklace. Not a thing.
Not a thing.
Prison.
Yep. Like what you said to me earlier, like they have belts and they have like, you know, necklaces, chains. Like, where are they?
That is not a thing. Because those are things that you, I mean, and the guy had a slinky.
Yep.
That's not what, no.
Yep. He had a slinky in his cell. Yeah, that would not be happening. That would not be happening.
Because you could literally use that as a garage. Like, no.
Yeah, there was a lot of that through this, right? They're able to do everything you can't really do in a maximum security prison like that. So it is really like
even crazier, right? Because like they're in this maximum security prison. We do get like a gratuitous moment of butt. Like
a lot of butt shot.
Yeah, like okay, fine, I get it. Like
I'm fine because as a guy we get a lot of the other side. Yeah, every movie technically we get it here. We get a lot of Terry Hatcher. We don't get naked Terry Hatcher, but we get close to naked Terry Hatcher.
We get other boobs, like we get background boobs in that.
Right.
But anyway, so we get this whole thing, and I'm like, yeah, no, like all your shit's taken away. Like you're in the uniform. You're not even gonna have shoestrings.
Yeah,
guys,
just loafers. Loafers as far as slippers and loafers.
You're gonna be rocking like slip-on Keds. Like not a joke. I think Keds actually owns the contract.
Right.
So no, and I was just like I got kicked out of this. Now admittedly, when I first saw this movie, I hadn't actually like because I did Section 1983 right after. So that's why I ended up in like I would have to go and interview people in prison in situ, and that's how I end up with maximum security. Also, I learned the really hard way that you should never wear a skirt suit on those days.
Okay, I don't know that I would have known that either, but yeah.
Yeah, it probably would have come up for you though.
Well, you never know. So
I mean, you may have amazing legs. I got nothing, but anyway.
I do actually. And
so that was nuts. And then, of course, like the warden shows up and is just like, "Hey, bud, I know we worked together, and so all of this is corrupt. It's a terrible place to be. So I'm going to help you escape."
Yep.
Like they are spared the effort of coming up with an escape plan, Marco, because apparently even the scriptwriters, all 60 billion of them, realize that these guys are not smart enough to get out of there.
Yes, there was a lot of writers in this movie. And a couple of directors, a whole bunch of producers, some cast that didn't quite make it all the way through.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's nuts. So, like, he goes from 0 to, I'm going to help you escape. Not, hey, I'm going to try to offer you protection and get you out of general population or any of these other things. Because
get you out of this prison into the one you're supposed to be in. Right.
I mean, literally, that's a call to the prison board.
Mm-hmm.
BT dubs, I got these people. They're not supposed to be here. You want to fix this problem?
Somehow somebody got paid off to get them here.
Could we maybe fix this problem? No, none of that happened. chance. No,
You can't have the daring escape chance if we don't have this.
Right, so it's 0 to random escape. And so there's that moment in Galaxy Quest, and I know it's not your favorite movie. There's that moment in Galaxy Quest where they have to, and like Sigourney Weaver is just standing there going, "This episode was badly written." I feel like that. I'm just like, you should not have that many ventilation fans.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
it's a badly laid out prison. It's not really well done.
It's badly laid out. There's so many like power lines that are unsecured. Also, not a thing you're going to end up with in a maximum security prison.
Yes. Yeah, Chompers gets taken out by the power lines. He gets kicked back into them.
I don't even know that man's name.
That scene I remembered. Was that?
I don't even know that man's name. I just know his jaw because I've seen that jaw in everything.
Yeah, he's been around. He was around. He passed away, but he's been around and did a lot of that stuff. His name is Robert Starr, Z''DAR. So Robert Zadar. He played Face. His name in the movie was Face.
Mm-hmm.
He passed away in 2015 of, I believe, cardiac arrest.
Mm. So, like, what are you? Like, he who memorizes causes of death? Like,
I am. It's really strange. I don't know why. I don't know why. Really weird, yes,
I know this has come up before. Like,
it's come up before because I usually kill people off that aren't dead yet. But yeah, I've done that before too. It's been a while since I've killed off an actor that wasn't actually dead. I got to get back into that. It was a fun time in my life. Last August, October, November, December. So yeah, anyway, it's a really weird thing. I don't know why I do that. Like, I just have an interest in like, oh, this person passed away and this is why, and I don't really.
That's all right. I have a cousin who has a collection of death certificates, and I was just like, Jackie.
That takes the cake. That's a little morbid, but yeah, I mean, I grew up in an Italian family. My grandma loved that game. Guess who died? So
I mean, my husband's family is Polish. Like, yeah.
Guess who died? Oh.
But I have not yet joined them. But I will not. If I live long enough to see you again, I'm like, oh, okay. I thought my family was nuts. Nope. So yeah, no, and we have that whole like, I think it'll be okay if I just touch this one wire and I don't touch the ground. I won't.
Yes.
Die. And then we like zip line down.
We zip line down with our belts we shouldn't have.
Right. I'm just like, what the hell?
Oh.
And then, like, even though and then somehow we managed to get back to LA, right? Like, I mean,
it's a little, Dark Knight Rises. We're in the middle of nowhere yet. Because they were driven far. Like, it seemed like that bus ride that went to somewhere that wasn't supposed to go. It seemed pretty far.
Right, and
it wasn't down the street. It wasn't on the outside of LA that they can just walk back to in a couple hours.
No, this is not Escape from LA, my dudes. This is like, upstate California at this point.
Yeah.
Somehow magically they get there. I mean, it's not as magic as The Dark Knight Rises because he somehow manages to transport from like BFE Middle East.
Yeah. To Gotham. It's already shut down. And gets back with $1 million smile on his face.
And I'm just over here like, the timing is not working here, my friend.
Yeah.
It's just not.
Yeah, but then there's that whole point where, and this is in that video that we watched too, but I had already thought of that. It's like, he's just wandering into the LA, special, research and development of weapons. And like, he's a fugitive and they're just wandering in. Nobody cares. Everybody knows who he is. It's a police department. He worked there. Like, everybody knows exactly who he is, and he's not supposed to be there.
And we literally get like Q from Wish, except it's like they picked up Mr. Taya Taima from the Hogfather and stick him in there and put a magnifying glass on his head.
The giant magnifying glass.
I'm like, this isn't jeweler's loop. This isn't like, I mean, this isn't even what you would wear if like you're doing like circuit board repair.
Right, the visor with the two like glasses looking. It's just a giant, goofy looking magnifying glass.
What the hell was that? And then of course we get the random. He's like, I've got this for seniors, and I'm like, you work for cops. What are you doing? Why are you using the city's resources?
Because we need it for the movie.
Except we didn't, right? We didn't need the exploding stuffed Doberman. Like,
No, because it served no purpose. It was just a funny joke, and the head blows off, and like that was just a ridiculous waste of a scene.
It was, and it's just like
because it just proves like he doesn't know what he's doing. Like this thing blew up incorrectly. Like so now you gotta trust the rest of his weapons.
And props where props is due because like it gets picked up later in the film because we get this comment that like he has milliseconds of genius. But the other thing I remember sitting there thinking like, so Q makes sense because he works for MI6.
Right.
This Joker works for the LAPD.
Do they have a special weapons manufacturing section where they build all this kind of technology? And I don't think they do.
No, and if they do, I'm a little concerned.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Oh yeah.
I mean, there's the militarization of the police that we keep talking about, and there's some legitimate concerns there, but like, they don't need a Q.
No, not at all.
They don't need a Q.
They have him, and we get to, Tango's house that his sister's in, and nobody's checking that except for the captain.
No, before we get there, we got to go to the strip club.
I was trying to avoid that. I mean, even though it's Terry Hatcher, and I loved watching the Terry Hatcher scenes because I like Terry Hatcher, but oh, good Lord. The cops that are wandering around and
the cops randomly show up at so Tango's sister is a apparently.
Yeah.
She is also the world's least effective stripper, I might add.
It's horrible. It's horrible. She take anything off.
Right?
She takes nothing off. She's just actually stripped. She's just a dancer.
No. She takes a jacket.
The whole jacket.
Boy,
jacket. Get me my dollars.
But can we also talk about like that whole sequence
like anyway? A quarter at her?
It's like, wait a minute. It's clearly a nightclub. It's clearly supposed to be a strip club. It's set up like it's going to be a strip club. She wanders out in like a Flashdance outfit.
Giant fan.
And then grabs drumsticks and then does this electronic.
Got to play some electric drums on the stage. Sure. Beating the drums with the big fan behind her with all the big giant tinsel. It was just the worst stripping scene ever. In this stage, it looks like it's from WWE, right? It's got the big ramp that comes down. She's gonna go into the, comes down. Then she rides away. Doesn't one of them ride out on a motorcycle? Not her.
Yeah, we're getting there. So then we go back. I mean, she clearly sees Kurt Russell hanging out, and she knows who he is, and so she helps him avoid the police by taking him backstage where everyone is inexplicably wandering around topless.
Sure. Not on stage, but behind stage.
Backstage, everybody's topless. And it's not
they're on
nothing
stage.
else, by the way. Nothing else. We literally have a leather jacket, half jacket, like that 80s number on, but no bra. Mm-hmm. Right? And I'm just like, this.
It's a look.
I'm like, this is a decision, and I'm just like, what? I don't understand. None of this makes sense. And
but knowing the producer, it kind of makes more sense.
Scumbag, apparently, that.
Oh yeah,
that starts to make sense.
Yeah,
right.
A lot of it starts to make sense when you look at through his prism and his neurotic and narcissistic and apparently violent prism. It makes a lot of sense where this movie went.
Right, and so we have this random sequence where it's I guess we had to counterbalance the fact that we had man ass in the first 20 minutes of this movie. So now we have to have all the boobies. Mm-hmm. We have all the boobies.
Hey, fair is fair.
And then not arguing. And then all of a sudden we get the world's most stereotypical dyke joke. And not only do we get the world's most stereotypical,
he fought hard to keep that in there too.
I know, right? And it's not funny.
Yeah.
Nope. Part. It's the most stereotypical dyke joke. And Kurt Russell in drag, least convincing disguise.
Yep. Yeah, and it's apparently that's a John Peters thing too.
Yeah, no, and everybody, at least Kevin Kline looked vaguely convincing.
Will Smith did not.
No,
But that was two drag in one movie. Like he doubled down on that one.
I gotta tell you, I had blocked out the memory of that god awful like belly dance sequence. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Welcome back.
I need you to drag my pain into
Come over to the dark side.
Yeah. This is not a question where you have cookies. No. You have trauma. No.
Yeah.
So that was terrible.
Here's the doll. Show us where they touched you. Show us where it hurts.
Right, and then there's just this god awful moment where like scumbag cop number 3 goes, "How about a 3-way?" What?
He's on the force.
You're in the middle of a pursuit, my dude.
Yeah. Well, we gotta have a little comedy. We gotta have a little quip, a little 90s, one-liner. 80s, 90s. They both decades did a lot of that.
That whole sequence just hurt my brain. I was just like, none of this. Like, it was fine when they had Terry Hatcher dressed in like the biker.
Yeah.
And that would have been a super fun kind of twist on it. And then everything that happens after it is just kind of like, what?
Because then it's worse, right? He gets back to her house and stays in the outfit.
I gotta tell you, as someone who has had to wear hose on a not infrequent basis, that is the shit that comes off first.
Sure.
Like, no. And I don't even, like, the other thing I find myself thinking is, you're literally doing this as a dude, and you can't tell me that you have a dance belt hanging out in that strip club.
Right.
So so when it's going up into the unknown, I can only imagine that would have been. I'm just going to continue gesticulating wildly.
That's okay. That's all right. We'll put this up on the YouTube version. So that got to me, right? He's slying, or she's massaging him and doing whatever. It's like, dude, change, motherfucker, change. Why have you not changed your outfit? Do you enjoy sitting around in the women's outfit? With this woman who you're now trying to get with?
I guess that makes a certain amount of sense because he doesn't have anything else to wear.
Well, I mean, but it wasn't at Tango's house.
He really didn't have a purse.
Yeah.
I mean, and I guess it just didn't occur to anybody to go raid Tango's pajama drawer.
Right, something. Yeah. Even his suits, he could have put on a pair of pants and a shirt.
Like, I mean, seriously.
I mean, Sylvester Stallone's slightly larger than him, but still, it's not women's clothes, so put something on.
And I'm not even saying, like, if you want to wear women's clothes, sure, fine, you do you, but, like, also, wear comfortable women's clothes.
Yeah. Put on a robe. Put on one of her robes.
Right? Like, I mean, any of that would have made sense. But,
right? I mean, we've seen that before, right? Like, you get there and, like, the guy's dancing around in the woman's robe because he didn't have anything else to wear. It was just comfortable, so he threw it on. But you're still wearing the stripper outfit. You're still wearing the hooker outfit. All right.
Right. And I'm just like,
I mean, obviously that's because we needed the comedy later when Stallone shows up and he's still wearing the outfit. He's gonna make some comments.
It's not a question of like him wearing the outfit because the gag is that they're talking about trying. Apparently, they're talking about trying to slip that disc back in and start with this whole like when Harry met Sally moment. And I gotta tell you, like, the whole thing that follows from that just flows from that, is just awful. I get it's 1989. I get that. But, like, at no point does anybody ask Kiki what she wants.
Right. That's right.
So, like, Stallone starts writing Russell about whether or not he can date, Russell, like, Cash can date Tango's sister, right? And apparently, the movie just assumes that Tango gets a say.
Mm-hmm. And then Cash is going to argue this fact with him. Like they're the only two who can make the decision.
And even the last scene in the film, they're arguing directly over her body.
Yep.
And all she says is, well, we shouldn't fight. Like, no, I'm a grown-ass adult. I get to make choices to, like, what I do and who I do it with.
And that, again, that's something necessarily that would not play in 2022. However, I still feel like there are some people in the industry who would still try it, who still be like, yeah, that's okay. You know what I mean? Like, who still like almost see stupidity like that on occasion, even though it just doesn't work. It shouldn't have worked then. It doesn't work now, and it shouldn't have worked then. But it not that it worked then. It was just more widely accepted. Like, yeah, this is just what we're okay with this.
It's legitimately terrible writing.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And it becomes this motif for the latter, like I want to say all of Act 3. And so this is when, in the video we watched points this out, like Cash owns, or Tango owns this house.
Mm-hmm.
And it's occupied by his sister, and nobody thought to stake it out except
the captain. Yeah, Tango's captain. Yeah. He's the only one to think, oh, maybe they'll show up there. This is the most inept police division manhunt. Yeah, like the feds were in on this essentially, right? Because they escaped a maximum security. Right. The feds had to be going after them, not just the local police.
Right, and that's one of the things that the captain in his terrible toupee actually says. He's like, the feds are involved, and I can't do much about the feds, and I can't. I mean, he's like, I cannot imagine.
Well, I wouldn't worry about it. They're not that good. They're not here.
And I'm also, and I got to tell you, the only thing I can figure that the feds are involved is because a federal officer was allegedly killed. But like this manhunt, it's not. They don't have jurisdiction over this. Unless, I mean, they don't have jurisdiction over this unless this was a federal crime.
Right.
And my understanding is that, I mean, there's, and if it's a federal crime, then why are the, like,
but you got the local boys on it. Wouldn't the stadies be on it too?
Right. I mean,
nowhere to be found. Nowhere to be found.
Right. And I'm just like, wait a minute. None of this makes sense. How are the feds involved?
But there's so much of that in this movie. That's the hard sit of this movie. It's like, it's a movie, so we know we have to suspend disbelief, right? It's two guys.
I did not expect that I would have to take my disbelief out and beat it with a baseball bat.
Yeah, you had to beat it ugly in this movie. Yeah, you absolutely had to beat it ugly with this movie. You just had to jack it up like a redheaded stepchild because it was not happening. You could not give any logic to anything that happened to this movie. No sense of reality of like this could actually happen in any point.
Right, because the only way our idiots find out about Rakeen is because not only does Captain show up and tell them, "Hey, this is his name," he gives them the address.
Mm-hmm. They know where he is.
You had this information. Why didn't you do that? Why didn't you have? Where was this at trial? Where was this? Where is the investigation into this?
But the trial part of it for me seems like useless because 90% of the people that trial were on the take. So even though like the captains who were on their side but the lawyer, the prosecutor was on the take, right? Because they took care of him, all of that would have been somehow squashed or lost or something, like even if they had that information. So no matter what they brought to this trial, they were fucked from the beginning. Like this, they were going away. Enough people were, including the judge and all the audio guy, everybody was paid off properly to just make them go away.
I guess.
Like that was the point of that whole trial sequence. It's just like, yeah, they're going away no matter what.
That threat has that kind of. Oh, the problem is that it doesn't come across. Like the scripting of that whole sequence is just so bad.
Yeah, the whole scripting, the whole beginning to end, from credits to credits, is bad. But
right? Because and this is of course when they go after Rakeen, and apparently. It's completely simple in 1989 LA to get your hands on grenades.
I would imagine Dumpy had them with his spyglass on. My guess is somehow he got them there.
I mean,
that's where the rest of his weapons came from.
I mean, those pants were way too tight for him to fit a grenade in his pockets.
Did they have a bag?
No,
Wasn't there a duffel bag? I thought there was a duffel bag they were going into that was on the roof
I mean,
with them.
literally, he just grabbed some guns and let hits off.
No, but at the end of the rooftop scene with Rakeen, they grab a black duffel bag and walk away with it.
But my point is like that duffel bag doesn't exist in like the armory sequence.
You don't see him take it. So there's that. What I've talked about before. That's something that happens between the scenes.
Are we picking up the duffel bag at the armory, or are we picking up the duffel bag at Tango's house?
Could be either one. Superfluous to the story, apparently, because they didn't bother to tell us and show us why or how they have this mysterious duffel bag with all the weapons and the grenades and all that kind of stuff. And I agree, but it's like, well, we've wasted enough. We waste enough film on other useless shit. We're not going to waste it on that useless shit.
No, because that would make sense.
It's kind of important thing to know.
But also, the police have grenades.
I mean, they have like an exploding dog head thing. I mean, why not? They have a dog that shoots out of its mouth. Like, why wouldn't they have a grenade? I guess
that is designed to be a security system for seniors. Like, that's the other part that doesn't make any sense.
And they have the big tank, SUV. So why wouldn't they have a grenade?
Right. Like
which has like rocket launchers and stuff on it. I think grenades really not that far out of the question.
Legal. That's totally legal. That's a thing.
Rocking down Main Street in LA, like, you know what I mean, like Bonaventure Boulevard or whatever, just like fucking rocket launchers, whatever. We got this taken care of.
Sunset Boulevard.
Yeah, rocking the rocket launchers.
Now, don't get me wrong. Philly actually had the move bombing, but the point of that is that the police actually reached out to the National Guard and to the federal law enforcement in order to get those arms and that material in order to firebomb that section of Philadelphia. Right. Which, by the way, that's a thing that actually happened. Good listeners, go look it up. It's the move in Philadelphia.
Go write that down. So,
yeah, I mean, which is terrifying, right? Like, I mean, because that's literally a situation in which, like, again, that's the other thing that kept like sort of coming to my mind, like, that's one of the most egregious uses of like inappropriate force in American history, right? Mm-hmm. Or at least law enforcement history, where they blew up a block or thereabouts. Right. I mean, and obviously there's the whole conversation about the Branch Davidians, blah, blah, blah. Right. Yeah. But this would have been like the equivalent, because these like those were actual like local law enforcement and state law enforcement personnel. So that's kind of like where this Tango and Cash film lives.
Right.
As far as we know, we see like 2 feds, both of whom end up like dead very easily. One of whom is like a forger or whatever. So I guess maybe that's what we're going for, that level of firepower. But I'm just sitting there like, when did we get the RoboCop van?
Hey, it adds to the last rat maze of the story, right? Because I got to get through that rat maze with all the.
Also watching Jack Palin's like start like kissing his rats, I was a little like,
what was the point?
Like, what are we watching at this point? Like
it's we're looking at the rat sequence just to get the idea of him sending them through the rat maze that they've created outside. Like, that was the only reason for any of that nonsense that happened a lot through the movie.
Like, there is a metaphor, and then there is belaboring the metaphor, and like we're no longer belaboring this metaphor again. Like, we have gone and gotten the bat that's still dripping blood from my disbelief.
Yep.
And it's like, again, we've added spikes to it and are beating this metaphor.
It was through the whole movie. It was just unnecessary. It's like, you have those movies where the villain is like has a cat, you know what I mean, like the Bond villain, right? This guy's got fucking rats, and he's hugging them and kissing them, and it just didn't make any.
Like, this is nuts. Like he puts them in a box to transport them. What, 6 feet?
He keeps them in the box. How do they not die?
I don't know.
Or eat each other in that box. They
I don't
had
know.
rats, rats trapped in a little enclosure. They're gonna eat each other. They're gonna kill each other.
I mean, right?
He
I
goes
mean,
through this whole
seriously.
thing. Like, it just didn't make any sense. There was no need of it, And he's kissing the fucking rats, and it was weird. And he seemed very clean and proper, right? He got the white suit and everything's perfectly, but he's handling one of the most dirty, disease-ridden animals on the planet.
So,
and
fun fact,
he's kissing them.
Your pet rats, not so much.
They're not pet rats. Hopefully, they were just nice,
right. I mean,
pet store rats, right?
Those are pet store rats. I'm just over here like, I don't understand why. Like, I don't understand. None of this makes sense to me.
No, it just didn't make sense. But that's the movie. It's one nonsense. But as they said in that video that we watched, it's like they just kept throwing shit at it. Like Peter's just kind of like, I have an idea today. I smoked a good joint today. I dropped some good acid today. Let's throw this at it. Let's do this. Let's go at it this way. Like it just didn't. It made no sense because there was no real script to start with, so there was no clear direction. So it was just like, and they said like it was. They squeaked out production just in time to release the movie.
There's too many cooks in the kitchen, and then there's this guy. And then there's this guy who's like, I mean, seriously, somebody needed to have pulled his funding. And even after the clusterfuck that is this movie, he somehow, like, he and John Gruber end up picking up Sony?
Yeah.
And so many things started to make sense about Sony.
Well, I mean, at that point, but this is 89. In the same year, Batman came out. So they were riding.
Some of these folks.
They were riding the high of Batman. Right, Batman came out in the summer, and this came out at the end of the year. They were riding the high of Batman.
Two directors, like one of the directors they pulled.
The main director, and they booted him.
A whole bunch of these folks, like I think Peters actually was involved in producing Tim Burton's Batman.
Yeah, they're both credited. Peters and Gruber are both on the credits for Batman.
Yeah, so that's fine. But then we decide we're going to hire the director who directed Prince Joker video to fix this film?
Yeah. Did he do Purple Rain?
Yes. Yes, he did.
Yeah.
Okay. Whatever.
We got exactly what he was capable of. Right? The ending is very almost music video-esque with the mirrors, the mirror room that was nonsensical for no good reason.
Okay. All right. We are an hour into this. Let us get to this Charlie Fox shot of the thing, right? Because none of this makes sense. We're gonna skip the whole business of dangling Rakeen over whatever and in that terrible pseudo-British accent.
Oh, I know. Oh my god.
That's the thing that happened.
Was it British? Was he supposed to be Scottish? I never really understood.
No, I think it was supposed. I legitimately think that was supposed to be
Was it? It was kind of like Cockney British or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe he watched 2 episodes of Coronation Street and was like, "I'm good to go."
Something, yeah. It's like Blackpool type, that area. Really bad.
So skipping all of that nonsense and moving to what they do, which is, again, these two wanted fugitives walk back into the special.
Now the two fugitives, the two are back in.
Dose 1, 2, yeah. Walk back into the weapons development lab and grab
people everywhere. It wasn't like it was just his buddy. Cared. It's I could understand it if they went in at a different time and it was just his buddy. He would cover for him, right? Because they're good friends. Okay, I get that, but he's not friends with everybody. He's not friends with everybody. He didn't kind of send him a coded message. Okay, meet me after hours and let's open the lab. And I'm gonna come steal some shit. It's work time. It's 4:00 in the afternoon. Everybody hasn't checked out yet. They're all just wandering around the fucking lab.
This is the thing we're gonna do.
Through. Yeah.
This is cool.
I'd imagine.
And
I'm thinking in my head.
There's no way you can tell me that these people had no idea who they were, because every other scene in this movie is them on the newspapers.
Yes. A lot of TV and news coverage of the entire situation. Yes. it was a huge event, right? The city, the two most decorated cops get taken down. So it was everywhere. Everybody knew about him, right? That's how Terry Hatcher knew about Cash, because the only way she knew about him was from watching him on the news and the reading.
Apparently, the Special Development Lab, zero fucks given, I guess.
Apparently not. They're down there doing their little development stuff, and nobody's paying. Nobody picks up a newspaper down there.
Right? So anyway, so Mr. Tea Time basically is like, all right, like we have this RV over here that has rocket launchers. Isn't that nifty?
But don't touch it.
Sure enough, they're like, aces, we're going to take this. And they do. And it also has video conferencing in 1989.
Yes. You had a full FaceTime video conferencing in 1989.
Right.
It was awesome.
I know. So that's the thing that happened. And, okay. And then they're like, oh, there's all this construction going on. Abandoned Air Force Base.
Sure. A classic thing. Yes, absolutely.
Except apparently the construction involved monster trucks with rocket launchers.
That was one of my favorite parts in the video, talked about that. Like, this guy's got crazy construction going on and monster trucks he throws at them. Like, where the fuck did the monster trucks come from? Like, why do you have monster trucks?
Why?
Are you selling them? Are you dealing them? What are you doing? Is it a black market affair? Monster truck? Like, is that high on the market?
I cannot imagine that these are like popular weapons. That you're selling. Also, did you maybe leave my computer alone? I mean, sure, whatever. But that's not even the weirdest part. The weirdest part is when we get into like the head, the evil lair, and somehow this dude has picked up Kiki and going into it, I was like, where did you? There's been no conversation about any of this. Period. Also, where did James Hunt and Marco Limo go? Did they get?
They were there. They were there. They were in the lair because they both got killed. They were like one of the first lines of attack when they finally came in and they got to the main business office, if you will. The Hong, I think, was through the glass or something like that. He was trying to shoot them first, and they just riddled him. And then the other one kind of came out from around the corner, and he was shooting while one of them was down the stairs, and they just they blasted the wall above the stairs, and that kind of took him out. But then he didn't fully die. Remember, he was hit.
No, I don't. Again, I say I must have been dusting.
They hit him, and that's how
to avoid watching this movie.
I think Cash took a couple of shots from him because they thought he was dead, and like after it was almost all done, he comes back and tries to shoot them, and he's not dead. He somehow survived the riddle of bullets just to get off like one more shot at Cash, and Cash take one. Was like, I've been shot before. It's no big deal.
I thought Rakeen was the one who got Cash.
No, I don't think so. It was that guy. Yeah, but then they grenaded him and shoved him down the hallway.
Yep.
Blew him up.
Okay. Yeah, that's
and
fair.
You have this, and I like the video saying like they have this like random martial arts guy come in from nowhere, brand new villain. But yet Benny the Jet was he was probably the stunt coordinator, and he was there, but then they didn't use him. That made no sense.
I was so confused by that. Like I was just like, why? And it's not even.
It's not like he needed to have a line. The guy had no line, so who cares?
I gotta tell you, I'm really convinced. I'm really confused. Like, why is every martial artist in the 80s a Taekwondo specialist?
It's one of the most flashiest styles that's easy to film. That's why, like, when they did Jeff Speakman...
Ridiculous.
It is, but it's movie fighting, right? Like, it doesn't make any sense. It's not realistic. None of it's realistic.
I mean, because they're stupid intent. They're stupid, crazy kicks. Like that's all it is.
Right, using the longest limbs you have, so it shoots really well on film, right? Because you do these big, like Van Damme, right? These big helicopter kicks and craziness, but it looks great on film. Whereas something like just
the fact that like his entire weight distribution makes no fucking sense. Like, I mean, for Van Damme, it's all ballet,
right? But that's a lot of the.
What you know about Steven Seagal? Say what you will. Like the man at least understands what he's supposed to be doing.
Yeah, no, and Van Damme had a lot of martial arts training too, but he was also had a lot of ballet training, so that's where he got his flexibility from. But he was karate, so it worked. But then you add in the ballet stuff, and you can get that taekwondo feel to it. But you have in this one like that flashy, fast-paced roundhouse kicking makes for great video. Shitty fighting, but great video, and that's why they do it.
I guess
think of like a Kempo stylist. It's really short hand movements.
Mm-hmm.
It's quick, fast hand movements, and that doesn't really play very well on camera. Yet they got it to work on Jeff Speakman when he did The Perfect Weapon with James Hong, by the way, who was in that movie as well. And I remember because that's the style I started with was Kempo. So like I remember my buddy and I went to see that. We were like, "Fuck!" It's our style in a movie, like front and center in a movie with like a legit Ed Parker descendant Kempo stylist is now doing a movie like that was badass at the time. He looks very different now.
You're going to lineage now, like ooh.
Wow, I lived it since I was 8 years old, so
I mean, I guess that sort of makes sense.
My instructor got his
that one move,
fourth. My
that
instructor got his
one
fourth
move
Ed Parker
now is like in vogue, and you have to see that in every single movie, right? Like where you jump on the dude's neck and like
yeah, and that's so it's just because it looks good on camera, so all the stunt coordinators use it, right? You have fighting styles, right? There's a lot of like sword play in movies or TV shows that are just completely unrealistic, but it just plays really well for camera, right? It's easy to see, it's wide, it's grand, it's.
I'm watching the sequence, and again,
Benny knows what they're doing is like,
Benny the Jet is like legit though, right? I mean, the man
world champion. Yeah, he's got tons of world champions, and absolutely.
He's also got a really solid command of multiple styles.
Yep.
Right. So he understands how the physics would work. And then we get that awful moment where crazy Taekwondo dude comes out.
He's basically the guy from like Roadhouse.
The only thing this man manages to do is shred some shelving.
And then you get taken out instantly.
It's not even a little bit angled at Stallone.
Yeah.
It's not.
No, it's pretty pathetic. It was a waste of like we needed somebody for Stallone to fight, right? Because Keen is dead or whatever.
And it's like I have all the star power, so I'm not going to be anywhere near that.
Yeah.
And of course, we get to every evil lair has a random mirror room.
Very Enter the Dragon.
I know, right? I mean, that's literally. I was like, when did we? I mean, I'm like, where's Bruce Lee?
Yeah, it seemed like they were just trying to like, again, pull shit out of their ass, but also pull things from other movies. Right? We're referencing Rambo. We're referencing all these different things.
Nothing in common.
But the whole movie was like that from beginning to end. It's such a hodgepodge because there was no direction for the movie. It was just like, all right, fuck, what are we doing today? Like, what are we doing today, Bob? Like, I don't know. What are we doing today, brain?
There's no through line. There's no like thematic. There's nothing.
Same thing we do every day, Pinky. Plan to take over the world. Like that's
right?
all.
But it's not even the good Animaniacs. It's the remake Animaniacs.
It wasn't even that. It was like bad Wile E. Coyote. Like we're gonna come up with a different scheme every day. We're gonna put them in a different. We're gonna strap a different Acme rocket to their ass every day.
I got it. It is the Turkish remake where we have sort of seen the movie and then just went with it.
Yep. It's a Bollywood style.
I mean, my God, except Bollywood makes sense.
Yeah. They probably would have made better sense out of the movie.
Right? I mean, like, if they had broken out a dance number, I would have been like, all right.
I mean, we had the dance numbers at the strip club. We had them. We had a bad dance number with electric drums and a motorcycle and a big giant fan for no reason.
It's very obvious that it's not.
And a stripper who doesn't actually strip other than a jacket.
Right, and it's not Terry Hatcher. Like, you know, you have Terry Hatcher for the close-ups, and then all of a sudden you move back, and it's like a completely different facial structure.
Yep.
And I'm like, and this is on my tiny-ass laptop screen. I cannot imagine.
I was watching it on my bed. I don't know if it's a 69, 70. I forget what the hell I have up there on the wall. I was watching it in its full glory.
That is not glory. That is, or whatever. Yeah, no. And this is how the movie ends. Except like and then of course we get like that newspaper with like them high-fiving each other.
Yes. So and that's that bullshit. Like they're on the ground and they high five, then it pulls away, and it's them in the newspaper doing the same motion.
Right, but at least
wonderful transition, Bob. You did it. Great job. Great dissolve.
At least there's a moment, right? Because back in the Rakeen sequence, they have this moment where they're gonna high five, and then they remember they hate each other. So
they don't. Yeah. So now we get it. We get the payoff at the end. They're high fiving. Isn't that charming?
Is that a payoff? I mean, I sort of felt like I had been held hostage.
Oh yeah, we were definitely ear and eye raped the entire 2 hours or whatever. Like this movie time feels like 3.
No, it's an hour and 41 minutes.
Is that what it is?
I know this.
That's an hour and 41 minutes. You're not going to get back.
No. I mean, I am not joking when I say I was like, all right, I'm just going to leave this playing and I'm going to go clean my baseboards with a toothbrush because this is painful.
Yeah.
I was like, I promised Marco this was my idea. I have to do
this.
It
was your idea. I'm putting that right out there. It was definitely your idea. We have to do Tango Cash.
Like you remember I had such great memories of this. It did
not hold up.
It did not. So like I had a boyfriend, like like everybody has this low self-esteem boyfriend / girlfriend / partner, whatever. One of the few good things I got out of
13 years.
Cheers. 4
years of marriage.
That's why God created divorce laws.
Worked out great for me.
Right. One of the only good things I got out of that is that there are some things. He had this theory, right, where you had these great nostalgic memories of things being amazeballs when you were a kid, and what you do is you need to go and watch the title sequence, and then shut that shit off.
Right.
Because everything that follows is going to be a titanic disappointment.
It is because you can't go back to 1989 and however old like I said, I was 13. I can't go back to 13 and view it through the prism of a 13-year-old where the world was 1989, so that shit was acceptable and it was, the best we had. Like you looked at the original Tron movie, like the animation, like this is cutting edge, is amazing, and now of course it looks like shit compared to what we have. You know what I mean? And
it doesn't make sense. Like also
the original Jurassic Park, even the original Jurassic Park animation doesn't look like. It looks amazing. It's amazing, but compare it to the new ones.
I will actually fight you on this, and I will tell you why. Because the original Jurassic Park relied primarily on practical effects.
It did. No, it did. I'm not talking about the practical effects, although some of them are a little hokey. But the animation, the computer animation ones they had when it was full on T-Rex running.
That's fair. The T-Rex, but like the T-Rex sequence, or even the whole
when you're on the top, right at the beginning, the T-Rex that was real. But when it's chasing them down, it's closer than and then it appears in the mirror. That was animated, right? The Gallimimus. The Gallimimus running and the branch moving, which doesn't quite move consistently when the animals hit it. Right? You look at it now, you're like, not as much as let's say Dominion will, or the last as the newer ones look.
That's fair, but primarily all of it holds up because of the fact that they figured out a way to build it.
Mm-hmm. Yes, the practical animation, the practical effects will always.
Spielberg movie, and literally, I mean, it's kind of like George Lucas, right? Like you drive up. I mean, he drove up with a dump truck full of money and was like, I'm going to set this one on fire to prove that I'm serious.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it was, I mean,
there's a lot about that first Jurassic Park movie that I actually like.
Yeah. And believe me, I'm not equating this to Tango and Cash. I love the first Jurassic Park. I still watch the first, and to me, it still holds up.
Mm-hmm. I think
right. It absolutely holds up. As a movie, it holds up. The animation still holds up, just it's not as clean as, let's say, today's stuff because it's 30 years later.
The story is so much better because
I love
an actual fleshed out story as opposed to the Charlie Foxtrot that we have been getting. And I'm like, where?
Yeah, I don't think Dominion's going to be any better, even though it brings back the original cast. I don't necessarily. I'm going to go see it, but I don't think it's going to be any better. And it's rounding off.
Can we just get Chris Pratt out of this movie?
I like Chris Pratt well enough. I don't think, and it's not that I think he's wrong for the movie. I just think the movies struggle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the premise, the entire we've talked about this before. The premise of Dominion is stupid.
Yes.
It's ridiculous. A few animals, one of each, got out, and now the whole world is taken over by them. And we didn't just shoot them back to the fucking Stone Age. Like we didn't just with all of our. I'm not saying nukes. I'm just saying, guns and rockets and missiles and for high caliber shit.
You're gonna tell me that we
take down elephants and we take down big animals.
Or a predator. Like that's what a predator drone is for, people.
Yeah. We can't take these things down. They've become an entire ecosystem all over the planet.
Like you cannot argue with. I mean, so all right.
And I swear to God, if they show us a raptor in Europe, I'm gonna have a problem.
Mm-mm.
How did the raptor get to Europe?
I am 150% behind a good kaiju movie. Okay, I am, and I love me even some of the really crappy ones that we've been getting because Godzilla movies are supposed to be crappy movies. They're not I'm not talking about a cinematic tour de force. Like I'm literally there because I want to watch a giant laser spewing reptile destroy Tokyo.
Yes,
that's what I'm going for.
Yeah,
I know what I'm going for. Problem with these, and that's what they give me.
But a Godzilla movie is a far cry from a Jurassic Park in its premise alone. It's a nuclear created, it's a whatever created this gigantic monster that even a nuke just makes it more powerful, right? When you try to nuke it. Jurassic Park is based on animals that did exist, and we bring them back through genetic cloning, essentially, which we actually have to a certain degree. Maybe not to bring back a full-fledged dinosaur yet, but still, that's not far off from what we can do now. So that could happen, but we'd still take these motherfuckers out. They're not going anywhere. They'd be done. It might take a couple of days, but we'll find them.
150%. I'm there.
This new one. There for that. And the new one, have you seen in the new one? It's got this Gigantosaurus. Where the fuck did that come from? Now
we're just splicing shit. That's what's happening.
But it's not that. Wong's there. And he's like, oh, we went too far. Why were you doing anything? How did you have anything to do? I know you stole the shit, but how did you even?
But also, what number are we
going in your research and doing it?
What number are we on by this point? Because we already figured out in Jurassic Park 1 that this was a bad idea. Jurassic Park 2, still a bad idea.
Mm-hmm.
3, yep, nope, still a bad idea.
Then we have Jurassic World, which was 20 years later. They forgot it was a bad idea, and it
turned out to be wait for it, a bad idea.
Really fucking bad idea, and because now they got the park open, and it's they think they did it right. They didn't realize that we tried to do it right once, we're not going to do it right again. But okay, we need the money, and we're going to get this going, and
also we think we can do it. To build this weird ass dinosaur that has never existed because we need to have something scarier than the Tyrannosaurus.
Mm-hmm. That's what they said. We need something scarier. That's what they said. So, and I can get behind that in the imaginary movie.
Richard Attenborough going, "Spare no expense."
I can honestly get behind that. I can set disbelief aside for the fact that we have the Endoraptor, we have all these different things. I get that because it's the craziness of we need to see if we can do it. We don't know whether we should. We know we shouldn't, but we're going to see if we can do it. We did it. Great.
We are past the question of we never considered if we should or not because we already know the answer to that, which is we should.
So my point becomes, you're going to do this. I can get behind that. It's a stupid idea, but I get why they do it. And so I can suspend that disbelief. It's the disbelief I have to suspend that we haven't been able to take them out by the end of this one. By Dominion, the ones that escaped, that were in the mansion, and they got out, one raptor, one triceratops, one...
And you want to tell me that somehow a velociraptor stowed aboard a plane or a ship or something and nobody noticed?
Well, it would have just gone crazy and killed everybody. The plane would have hit the deck easily. I mean, the bird ones, I get, right? The
snakes on a plane, and we knew.
But the pterodactyl or whatever they were supposed to be in that one. They weren't really pterodactyls, but those ones I get. There was a lot of them on the island, and they can fly. I'm okay with that.
They can't.
Well, and the smaller ones could. They were flying everywhere, right? But they're.
But that's not. No. But but they're not going to be like long. I mean, they're not albatrosses, right? Like, I mean, we're not talking about people that is capable of flying days.
No, but geographically, how do they, jump from one place to another and then make it somewhere? How long does it take to get from one place to another?
How are we going to get a brontosaurus in Europe? I don't know.
Right, but that's the kind of thing.
You want to tell me that nobody effing noticed when that climbed aboard your ship?
Right, that's and yet we haven't seen the movie, so we don't exactly know what the state where they are, where it's supposed to be. I don't know that particularly that's Europe, but it kind of looks like a Prague type place when he's driving the motorcycle and the raptors are chasing it. Multiple raptors again, mind you. Somehow Blue had sex with, I don't know, the neighborhood raptor they had in Europe. I don't understand how that happened, but so there's multiple raptors again. So, and I guess we have to see the story. Right, because Wong's still there. We do, because Wong's still there, apparently still cranking out dinosaurs. Like that. Well, D'Onofrio's team, even though he got killed, his team took Wong and all the eggs and stuff.
Sure. But
and part of the government was doing it, right? The government was supposedly trying to weaponize them. Yeah, and we know the government's not chock-a-block full of the brightest people on the planet who, think of the moral implications of the things that they do. So, I can suspend disbelief.
At one point, we literally tried to train cats to deliver explosives.
Right? I can suspend the disbelief that they made this happen and that they started producing more dinosaurs, even though they shouldn't have and they should have known better. There it is. But we can't take them out, really. This has to be a major problem over the world. We can't just destroy them.
Again, you cannot tell me that the United States didn't just misplaced its Patriot missiles.
Yeah, something. There's got to be. I mean, I know they get all big about not firing on our own soil. I get that. Just send a team in.
We firebombed Philadelphia. Like you
send the team in from the sky and take out the big ones first, and then we'll worry about the little ones. You know what I mean? Take out the big guys. I think we could manage it. We're the most advanced species on the planet.
Tell me that we are not going to deploy. And I get it. I understand the jurisdictional issues. Before somebody has something to say about that, you're not going to tell me that we're not going to deploy SEAL Team 6 to take out a Tyrannosaurus, my dude. These are people who would literally get off on that.
Yeah. But they need to get it done, right? It's just weird. So I'm interested to see the movie, to see that's kind of like, it's almost the the car crash, like the train wreck. I'm interested to see what happens, like how they write themselves out of this stupid corner.
I don't know.
You know what I mean? It's like it's an exercise in self abuse. Like, I'm gonna go and abuse myself. Of like, all right, let's let them do this to me. Grab my ankles and tear my eyes out.
Where I'm like, I can't. I mean, even the rubbernecking appeal just isn't there anymore. Like,
well, I've got it because I've invested in the other 5.
I've seen the Underworld movies in theaters.
Right. I've seen the other 5. I've seen them all in the theater. This is the last one, supposedly, at least rounds out this storyline. Yeah, because they've always touted they're going to do at least 9, because they have the rights to do that. But they're also saying that this one, not necessarily the last one, but this one rounds out this arc, this trilogy, plus and the original as well, because you're bringing the original cast in. So this is what they're saying, that this one kind of like solves it. Like, okay, we'll see what happens.
So what? We're going to excavate Sam Neill from wherever he is?
No, we're going to excavate that damn jar of eggs that's on the island. Remember that Nedry dropped and we never got a payoff from that because it ended up in the mud?
That's true. We never did.
But that island is now destroyed. It blew up.
Right.
I mean, there's probably something left. The whole island's not gone. They can go fight after the volcanoes are done with it.
Maybe like the jar, like the mysterious doodah of embryos is still fine, and it.
Well, in theory, it's underneath the ground, so it's kept cold. because the jar had a cold thing inside of it, like to keep things.
Yeah,
cold.
but that has a time limit, man. Like, I mean,
yeah, definitely, it's been like 30 years.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
But that always pissed me off that we never got a payoff for that. Like, that was a major thing with him stealing it, dropping it, seeing it hit the ground, seeing the mud pour over it, and we never got. I figured by at least a third one, or
and then of course he gets like the spitters.
yeah.
God, I love that sequence.
The Dilophosaurus gets him, but like you know, we never see that come back. It's really weird. They never wrote that into like any of the sequels. So like, oh yeah, we found the jar, we found the thing. Now we're making more because we have these eggs that he dropped. That hey, somehow they're still good.
Mm-hmm.
You know, eggs. I got eggs in my fridge. Don't last that long. So
I'm sitting over here going, I may have some deer meat that I need to get rid of now.
Yeah. So all right, there it is. So we chewed the hell out of Tango and Cash.
I don't even know if it was that funny. I mean, other than us just going, why?
No, it's okay. It was good, and we chewed the shit out of it.
Why did we do that to ourselves? I mean, I feel like I owe you an apology, but I did. I had such great memories of this movie.
But that's the point, and that's what we're kind of directing the show to be. It's kind of like, all right, let's chew the shit out of some movies that we thought were good, or we know are bad. You know, and so how could they have made this movie better? One of which would have been starting with an actual script.
Boom.
Have some direction and start with a fucking script that maybe went through a few rewrites.
And just throwing that out there.
Yeah. Just pass through a couple of rewrites, you know,
also maybe somebody needs to like pull John Peters up on assault charges. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, somebody's got to stand. I don't understand how nobody stands up. Like, I get it and I don't get it. Like, I understand at that point he had some clout and things like that, especially having coming off with the movies that he had done. But like, really, even then, and I'm not even talking like obviously the stuff that's going on with the sexual assaults and stuff like that. Like, this guy was just straight up a dickhead, and known to be like you're swearing and yelling and intimidating and actually like physically assaulting people, and nobody just punched you in the mouth.
Talks about this movie, the experience of making this movie as being like a positive thing.
But not even just this movie. It sounds like he does this a lot through all of the movies he does.
Yeah, I know. Like, I mean, going through that video, like, it was amazing. Like, the original talked about how miserable it was. Jack Palance talked about how miserable it was. Kurt Russell tore his hamstring in like one of the earliest shoots.
Yeah,
and, like, had to suffer. I mean, and then you contrast that with something like, say, The Princess Bride, where they still love it.
Yeah. Well, they still talk about how much an amazing time it was to make that movie. What like kind of a family they became during that movie. Yeah, absolutely.
Right? I mean, and it's just like,
yeah. But like, nobody's gone up to Peters and punched him in the face. Like, nobody's Will Smithed him. Like, fuck you.
Is that a thing now?
Apparently, yeah. It's all over like not Facebook, Instagram. There's like reel after reel, which just keep my wife's name out your fucking mouth. Like, that's all over the place. Yeah.
Wait.
So I think even the
didn't somebody else like apparently like go up to a comedian and like punch him in the face?
What's his name? Oh God, I can't stand him. What's his face? The one who's everybody's hates right now because he's like like anti-woman and what's his name? The one that went away for a while and came back.
Chris Rock?
No. What's the guy that Dingleberry loves from? He's always watching the videos of. Remember the videos we got forced to watch?
Yeah, no.
Yeah, him. So it would Dave Chappelle. Thank you. So somebody tackled him on stage. He said something. I don't remember what the fuck he said.
I mean, I'm not necessarily pro-violence, but also.
But okay, fair enough. But apparently it happens more than you think. But it's certainly not in like major broadcasts from like high-end comedians. And I use high-end loosely with him, but you know what I mean? Like a high money-making comedian, somebody who makes a lot of money.
Also, I really appreciate that reference, by the way. Like,
yeah, like that. Yeah, so we got to bring it back there, right? So somebody tackled him, and I guess Chris Rock was there, and like he made some off-color remark. He's like, "There wasn't Will Smith that just ran through here, was it?" Like, it's on. You can see it. It's on. Like, I saw it on like Instagram or whatever. Like, he's like not hugging, but he's like going up to Chappelle, like just to make sure he's okay. Like, it wasn't like Will Smith that just ran through here, was it? He's like making a joke about it because like, what do you do? But yeah, it's a thing. But that's definitely what should have happened to Peters. I'm sure multiple times. Like I don't know. I say it as, somebody who has dealt with it to a certain degree when I was younger. So when I started the job that I had for like 16 years, whatever the hell it was, so 14 or 16 years, I think. Like I started like right out of high school. So within a couple of years, I was there and I was doing really well. And some of the upper ups, like not upper ups in terms of business, but like people that I worked with who like the guy who trained me or, they were older than me because I was still like in my late teens, early 20s, just thought like they could just push me around. And they found out really quickly they couldn't. Because, you know what I mean? Like I had one guy who was like the IT director, and the guy who hired me was one of my students. He was older than me, but, I trained him. I trained his girlfriend, her son, and the whole bit. So he knew me. And so this one guy tried to he was just trying to intimidate me because his system sucked, and printing out like labels for catalogs sucked. And it would jam constantly. And like one day it happened again. I'm like, you got to take care of this. And he tried to like blame me and get pissy with me about it. And he had one of those old brick cell phones. Remember the original like brick ones that lasted like 5 minutes. And he started like banging me in the chest with it. And the guy who hired me, John, looked at me and he tackled the other guy out of the room. He literally like grabbed him and tackled him. He's like, and I could hear him like he's getting got to the other room. He's like, he will fuck you up. Don't ever do that to him again. He will end you where you stand. Don't ever fucking try that with him again. I could hear him from the other room. He was berating him in the other room. Like, dude, he'll fuck you up. He's like, did you not see his temperature gauge rise and his face went from peach to red from bottom to top? I was like, I'm going to kill this motherfucker. I looked at him like, get him away from me because I'll kill him. He's literally like, it's not just yelling at me. He's actually physically hitting me with his phone in my chest. Like, you're about to die, little man. So then I had another guy who had trained me try to do the same thing. Our call center was like backed up 20 calls all day. Fuck, I took my lunch. It was my lunchtime. I took a half hour. Not a minute more, not a minute less. And he tried to berate me for taking lunch. Like, how can you do that? The call's backed up. I'm like, dude, I don't give a fuck. The call's going to be backed up all day. Legally, I have to take a lunch. Otherwise, the company gets in trouble. I said, don't ever speak to me that way again. Who the fuck do you think you are? Now I'm in my mid-20s now. This is a few years in. Like, who the fuck do you think you are to talk to me that way? You're not my boss. You might be the team leader right now because, the team guy was just kind of helping everybody out. You're nobody to talk to me like that. Don't ever do that again. Now, I told him, I said, get away from me. He did. Because my other boss who knew me too was like, people have got to stop fucking with Marco. Like, I don't know why people think it's okay. He might be at the time one of the youngest guys on the team, but he's also the guy that'll fuck you up easy. So just back off.
It's amazing.
Yeah, people just get high and mighty. They can do whatever they want.
It is very much because I've worked for most of my career has been in like small law firms, and a lot of the people who are running the small law firms are very much from this sort of generation, and there really is this belief that we are beholden to them.
Right.
It's like, no, this is a contract. Like, I agree to do X, Y, and Z, and you agree to pay me. Like, this is how it works. Like, this is the standard exchange. And at none of this is there an agreement that I am going to put up with this kind of abuse.
Right. Yeah, and I didn't.
I don't get so much, I never got so much, the physical abuse, because there's very much an awareness that, you don't do that with women.
Right.
Because that way lies, suits. But very much,
guys, every once in a while, the guy needs a slap in the head. You know what I mean? Just to put him back in check. Like, come on, dude.
I had bosses that I kind of wanted to no, like the water bottle, calm down. But yeah, I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's amazing.
The fact that we're not allowed to slap the shit out of another guy, that causes a lot of problems.
Or the fact that these people,
because there's no recourse, right? I'm not allowed to. If I do it, I get in trouble. But you're being the biggest dickhead on the planet, and you need me to slap the glasses off your face, or you know what I mean? Do something. Just give you a fucking dope slap. I don't have to beat you up. Just
the sheer lack of respect, this idea, And not only is there this idea that like I should be standing there and being grateful for the use that you're heaping upon me, um, and I need to think of that in terms of I don't know, like paying my dues. Like there
Yeah.
seems to be some sort of like weird obligation there. Um, but it's also just the idea that it's their right to make
Yeah.
everyone miserable, and I'm like, this is not.
And that's definitely it's definitely changed now, especially with this Great Resignation. It's very much changed.
I know, I'm
When the
amazed.
students
Like,
don't have to put up with that, and then nor should they have ever had to. I mean, I had to deal with a lot of that when I taught at the old karate school, and it was very much like, I'm going to charge you full price and pay you shit like minimum wage, and you're going to thank me. But at first, a lot of it was just like, you're going to teach for free, you're going to clean the place for free, and just be thankful that I let you train here. Oh, and by the way, pay me for lessons. Like that's just the way it was for so long. And in a lot of ways, a lot of places, it's still very much like that. It's
I can see
very,
that.
oh yeah, it's very much like I am the Grand Master. You just be thankful I let you train here. Be thankful I let you clean my bathrooms. Be thankful I let you, teach for free. And oh yeah, because it all goes into your training and da 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 da. It's bullshit. It's bullshit. I pay my team very well and always looking to find more ways to pay them better. So that they actually enjoy the place. We're trying to work on giving them 401k. We're trying to work on giving them a medical stipend. Like we're trying to find ways to make sure that they have a happy life working for us as a real company, not just a mom and pop shop who's just like, yeah, here's some minimum wage and thank you.
Shockingly, you end up with employees that are loyal.
Yep. We do. It's still tough today, though. It's still hard. Not the loyal part, just finding people who actually want to work. Not the loyalty part. We're good with the loyalty part. But finding people that want to work, because we'll get short staff. We have some staff, but we're open a lot. And we do a lot of birthday parties and things like that. And to find people so we don't burn out our main staff. We try to find other people to do the other things that don't constitute teaching karate, where you really need to have that skill that you've learned over 4.5, 5 years, right? To even minimum teach the basics, right? Anybody can run a birthday party. Anybody can do that. A mom and me party, a parent night out. Anybody can do that, as long as you got a head on your shoulders. You know what I'm saying? But even finding people to do
that also becomes the point, like, right? Because that's kind of biting you in the ass because people are also like, but I have a family and I have a life and I don't want to be here at those.
Which is why we don't want our main staff to do it. But right now, that's
right.
What they're doing.
But finding somebody who's going to do that is going to be a little more complicated.
It could be a college kid. Honestly, somebody like who just needs some extra money on the weekends, doing birthday parties or parent night outs, because those are always done Saturday and Sundays. So we're gonna look for like next year. Hopefully, we're doing camps. We'll find the college kids who are off for the summer and need work. Right, I don't want my main teaching staff doing that all day and then having to run classes. So, but it's still tough, like to get people who want to do it. And like, I'm paying you money. Does that matter? They're like, no. Wow. Like I was 15, 18. Like I couldn't wait to work another hour to get some more pay. So I could, what I mean? So I could do what I wanted to do. They don't give a shit. And I'm not talking
Dude, I remember, man.
I'm not talking like rich kids. I'm not even talking about like rich kids who parents pay for everything. They're just kids. They're just like, I don't give a fuck. For some reason I don't need it. I'm like, okay, I don't understand how that works.
And I'm over here like, but I also had to pay for my own video console like 1.5 million years ago. Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I did too, and I would sell one and buy the new one. Right? Like I had the Sega Dreamcast. I sold. I know, right? I sold
like the white one.
Yeah, with that really weird square-looking controller. I had that, and I sold the controllers and all the games, and it paid for. Well, I don't know if it was the PlayStation or whatever came after that. Mm-hmm. I sold that to get the next console plus a controller, and then I just buy games. I had a friend of mine who would buy games. He'd do the same thing. He'd buy games, beat them within like 24 to 48 hours, and then return them to GameStop because they had like that return, even if it was open. So he played the entire series of games on the same $60 because he didn't care to keep them. He just wanted to beat them, return it, buy a new one, beat it, return it, buy a new one. He did it constantly. He played.
Oh my god! Do you remember having time to finish a game?
I just got Lego the Star Wars Saga one. I think I've played 10 minutes, and I was desperately looking forward to that one coming out.
I am looking at Fallout. I'm looking at Last of Us. I'm looking, and all of these are older games.
Yep, I have the Avengers game. I have not finished even barely scratched the surface of the last Assassin's Creed, the Valhalla one.
Oh my god.
Barely scratched the surface of that one. Like I said, the Avengers game, still I played some, but not a lot. I haven't done like a lot of the new downloads. And then the Lego one, which I love the Lego series. This one's way more complicated than anyone's. They really dumped a lot into this game. There's a lot of extra stuff to it. But then the Gotham Knights.
I don't have the time, or I don't have the reflexes anymore to do like all the extra shit.
I'm still okay there. I do get not dizzy, but I do get a headache more than I used to.
It's not even that. Like, go back and play like a Mario emulator.
Yeah, I know those old.
I guarantee you. Like, I remember beating the shit out of level after level after level, and then I go back and I'm like, I did this, and I'm like, I'm stuck with this. Now I'll admit I have never been good at jumping ever.
I still have most of it. That's because I still have most of that because of the job. Like my reaction time stuff is still pretty, even at 46. It's because of my job. If it wasn't for my job, no, I'm sure I'd be way down the rabbit hole of holy shit. But only because of my job, because I have to, right? Like it's a daily basis.
Yeah,
we're working stick fighting tonight. We were doing stick fighting tonight, so I was like, all right, I better be okay with this because they're whipping sticks at my head. I better be able to block and counter really fast. So it was pretty good. I did okay. So, but I want to finish the Star Wars one, and then the Gotham Knights is coming out. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm not even gonna be like a 10 through Lego before that game comes out.
I bought my husband Witcher 3. I pre-ordered that shit. Pre-ordered it. Dropped, obviously, gun it for him. It arrived on release day. The pre-order. Dude hasn't finished it.
Yeah. Yeah, the last game I finished was Red Dead Redemption 2, and that of course was before Christian. Mm-hmm. That was before Christian came, so that was a couple of years ago. Like that was the last game I finished because I had the time to do it.
Right. I mean, at this point, if somebody was like, "Are you going to play this, or this?" And I'm like, I literally have enough time to play the games I am paid to play, and that's.
Yeah,
and
I mean, it's 11:40 here, so and I could be up for another hour or whatever, but I'm not going to play because I'm sure I still have work to do. But then, back in the day, get up at 10, 11, 12 o'clock because I didn't have to be at work till 2. My job, I start teaching at 3:30, so I don't have to step foot into the dojo till like 1 or 2 just to kind of get the day set up. Now we're up at least 7, latest 7, 8 o'clock. He's a good sleeper though. I have to give the gig credit. The other day he slept till 10. We had to make sure that he was still breathing. He's a good sleeper. He went to bed at like 8, 9 o'clock, 9, around there. He slept till 10. They're like, is he okay? Check on him.
Do you feel the level of hatred I have for you?
I can feel it coming all the way from Mexico. Yes, I can feel it all the way coming from Albuquerque. Yes, I can. Yes, I can. It's not even coming through the internet. It's coming right
because
over.
My kids turn 4 next month, and they're still up at we're still having sleep issues and all of that. And to be fair, like they get that quite honestly because the sleep system is fucked and has been for years. But it's bananas because they're up at 6. I've got to be at work at 7, so I'm just like, guys. I just want my cup of coffee.
Yeah, no, he's pretty good. He will sleep in, and honestly, the only time he doesn't sleep in a lot of times because Amy gets up and she wants to ride the Peloton. So there's the disturbance in the mom force. He can feel mom is up, so he's like, oh, mom's up, I gotta get up. Otherwise, a lot of times he'd be okay with just sleeping in. So and I love her to pieces, and I love that she wants to do the Peloton in the morning, but then I get mad. Like, fuck, I want to sleep. And she's up, so it wakes him up. So, of course, now I'm up. She can't be riding the Peloton with him bouncing around. I have to watch him.
Right. And
so I'm like, oh, shit.
That's inevitably kind of like the trade-off, right? Like, if I get my cup of coffee, that means my husband doesn't. And there are 2 of them. And if one gets up, the other one's not far behind. Although I've got one that apparently is just like sleep is for the weak. And then the other one just like, I hate you. I'm awake now. And I'm going to make everybody miserable.
Yeah. See, I was the sleeper. My brother was the sleepers for the week. He was up at 5:30, 6 o'clock running around the house. Now I'm 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. Can I just fucking sleep? I just want to sleep. He was running at 9 months old, jumping out of the crib and running around at 9. I was 2. I'm like, I'll be here. Come and get me when you need me.
Right.
I was like, I could just put you down, and like 45 minutes later, you're still there, and I can just come back and get you. And you're like, you gotta pick me up or what?
Yeah, no, that was not that. No, that is not my experience. Apparently,
I'm still that way. I'm still like that. Like, oh, just lift with your knees. I don't know what to tell you. Just let's go. Lift with your back in a sharp twisting motion. Let's go.
Oh my god.
All right.
That was also the fun part about trying to watch this movie, right? Because like the kids are here because Wednesdays are early days. I don't understand this. Like our local school system is just like, yeah, I get it. Preschool's not all day. Fine.
No.
Like, don't worry. But like it's 9 to noon, like generally speaking, except on Wednesdays, and that's 9 to 10:45. And I'm like, why are we even bothering?
What's the point? You can barely settle in for the day before you're like, all right, time to go get your shit on. Let's go. You're out.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what it is. I mean, I think they're there long enough to get breakfast, and then they're like, yeah, no, here's the bus. You gotta go home.
Wow.
And I'm just
That's
like,
awesome.
Oh my God. So
Yeah,
like, I'm trying to like, this movie is terrible, and I'm trying to get through this movie, and I'm also trying to keep it like relatively quiet because they replace. Anytime they couldn't come up with something a regular human being would say, they would replace it with fuck. Like loud.
Right.
And it's
Yes.
just,
Yes, they did. Very much so.
and I'm like, I do not need my kids to run to preschool with that word.
Oh, I know. Yeah, absolutely. We're gonna really start watching that.
Happen eventually. Like
Yeah,
that
we
is
have to really start watching that with him because eventually he's going to start talking and mimicking our words and start saying stuff like that. So we have to be super careful with that because he will just start busting it out. But like we do it at the dojo with our darts and like our Nerf blasters. Like it's blasters and darts. We don't want you going to school saying guns and bullets. So
yeah,
you gotta be really careful with that.
Also, you gotta watch like how they say things because like at one point, so they have this bath toy that's like a squeezy frog, right? It turns out that the combination of F and R is very difficult, and so is the G noise at the end.
All right.
So at one point, like, my husband runs in and is like, "What have you been saying around the children?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about? I have no idea what you're talking about." And he's like, "They're saying F-bombs." And I'm like, "Okay." So, and Will is all about like, "Yeah, fuck is so cool," and I'm like, "That's frog." That's frog.
That's frog. Close, buddy.
I was
close.
Like, "Hey, Will, honey, can you go get your toy? Can you go get what you're talking about?" And so, sure enough, he goes over and he picks up his bat toy and he goes, "Squish, squish." I'm looking at my husband going,
not fuck. Frog.
I'm like, "Well done, buddy. How does that taste? Would you like some ketchup?"
Yeah. Oh man. All right. We have a appointment in the morning with him for his speech therapy person coming in. Oh, Dark Hunter, they get here at 8:00, shoot me in the face.
Oof.
We're their first appointment. Because the lady lives in the same town. She's like, "We just go to you first." Like, "Oh, thank you."
Oh, is he an early intervention?
Yeah. It was for muscular stuff. Now it's for speech.
Yeah, no, like we're still there. It's,
Yeah.
Again, because apparently, frog is just not a word we can say.
Not quite grasp that one yet. No, we're still on. We're still on that right now.
Gotcha.
A lot of signing, a lot of. But his whole his whole existence, his whole family, everybody around him knows what he's saying. So he's like, "I don't need to speak." I go, you know what I want. I say more.
Yeah, no. Matt has started.
I go, help. I know you know what I want.
Matt has started doing that. Like, I mean, yeah, the more thing for sure, but like, also Matt will be like, And I'm like, "You're gesticulating at the entire kitchen, my dude. Like, I'm gonna need to narrow it down.
Get a little closer. Yeah.
Can I get a color?
Sound like bread box. Is it bigger than a bread box?
Like,
How many syllables?
Like,
How many syllables?
What are we doing here?
How many syllables?
Well, you have good luck with your Odell 30 speech.
Yeah. Should be fun. All right, let's wrap this up, shall we?
Yes.
Just under the 2-hour mark. It'll hit us 2 hours before we finish it up. But this was fun. I can't wait to do this again. We're finally going to find another movie to rip on. Waste a couple of hours of our life.
Star Trek 5.
Star Trek 5. I think we can do that. Which one was that? Wait a minute.
What does God need with a starship?
Oh, good Lord. You want to go with that one and not Insurrection?
Well, because I'm not going to make myself suffer through Insurrection or Nemesis again.
I would take Nemesis over Insurrection. And I'm not a fan of Nemesis, but I would, if I had to, gun to my head, Nemesis. Give me Nemesis. Insurrection was just a long episode, not done well. It just felt like a longer episode. Like it didn't have
you pick a date. You pick a date, and we'll do it.
It didn't have any kind of movie quality to it. To me, it had no movie feel, except for like that. It wasn't that the one with the opening where they're like chasing in like the buggies. It's kind of like
yeah, sort of. I mean, that's
right. That was kind of thing, but like
with like Data going vaguely nuts.
But after that, it just felt like an episode. Like it had the production quality of an episode, and they're just on this planet, and it was Lord of the Rings for a little while, where they're all just walking.
And we go from First Contact to that.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. I mean,
First Contact was great. But
Frakes didn't direct that.
Yeah, and then we go from Insurrection to Nemesis, and Nemesis really I struggled with Nemesis.
Nemesis had more of a movie production feel. It just wasn't a good story.
It's not a good story, and also it's like they took the worst parts of the Tholian web. Like, I don't know if you remember, like, the very end of that, where, like, the ship is, like, slowly getting into firing position, blah, 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 blah. And I'm sitting there, like, in a minute, this made sense in The Last Starfighter. This does not make sense now.
Yeah.
Which is a movie I love.
Kind of like, was it Last Jedi? When the ship was chasing the slowest chase in history. They can only go so fast. Speed up a little bit. Just speed up a little bit. You'll catch them.
Oh my God.
Going X miles an hour. They're going X miles an hour. You go X miles an hour plus 1. You'll catch them. You'll catch them.
I mean, that's how that works.
It was fucking ridiculous.
And you have actual access to things like fuel.
Yeah, you could burn a little bit and go a little faster.
But The Last Jedi actually redeems.
Did they ever explain that?
No.
I feel like they didn't. Like, it's like, are you just treating us as stupid?
Themselves by hyperspacing through the ships.
I mean, visually that was super cool, and they cut off the audio, right? Like they cut out the audio, which everybody's like, "What the fuck happened to the audio?" Like that was done on purpose. I get it, but like, so visually it was cool. Logistically it was stupid, but like, just the watching the terminal movie of just watching them chase each other, and nobody thought to hit like the kick the gas in a little higher. They can't. You can speed it up.
But then we also spliced it with a completely different Casino Royale movie on top of it.
And that's what the interminable chase was about. It was just the for us to be able to get the Casino Royale and all that other stuff going. Yeah.
And I'm sitting here like, I have seen Knives Out. I know Rian Johnson is a solid filmmaker.
Yeah. And it's not to say that Abrams knocked it out of the park by any stretch of the imagination, but then there was Last Jedi.
No, we have Last Jedi and then also The Rise of Skywalker.
But again, gun to my head, I'll watch Rise of Skywalker.
We need to do those.
Gun to my head, I'll watch Rise of Skywalker over before I watch Last Jedi again.
I would watch none of them. What
if you had to? If somebody said, no, you have to watch one.
I don't know, man. I might go back to the prequels first.
Yeah. I don't know if I'd suffer through Jar Jar again, though.
Ooh. We have such wonderful fodder here.
I know. I want to take a cannibalistic Ewok before, you know what I mean? Those little bastards. Before they, those little cannibalistic pricks. Before I take a Jar Jar. I would love to have seen Jar Jar on a spigot. All right.
All right. Marie, peace on the rockets, my friend.
Thank you so much. Tell everybody where they can find you. For this. Where can everybody find you, Marie? If they don't know already.
Right, where all your podcast needs can be met.
There you go. I love it. Thank you, Marie, so much. I will talk to you soon. Yes?
Of course.
All right, we're gonna figure out what we're gonna do next. We have a lot of stuff, a lot of fodder, a lot of things we can be ripping on soon. So this will be fun. All right, Marie, have a great night.
You too.
Bye.